Okay, so again, thank you for joining LinkedIn 101, creating a robust and powerful LinkedIn profile. My name is Liz Hart, and I'm the founder and executive director of Tailored for Success, and I thank you for joining me today. If this is your first webinar, I want to welcome you. If you have joined me before, I want to welcome you back. So today's webinar will be recorded and handouts will be sent within 48 hours. The recording will also be posted on our YouTube channel. And once you go there to watch the recording, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. I also post videos on different topics in terms of personal branding or just quick career tips and things like that. So make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notification when a new video goes up. If you have any questions today, please use the chat. I will take time during and after the presentation to answer questions. And so let's go ahead and get started and get into the presentation. So I think it's always important when you're talking about any subject having to do with career development is to put the information into context. And especially when you're talking about something that is important and as powerful as LinkedIn. So I looked up some facts just to prepare for today's presentation. And as you can see, I've got a number of statistics here about the total number of LinkedIn users, which is over 756 million people who have a LinkedIn profile. And on a monthly basis, there are 310 million people who use LinkedIn at least monthly. And I'm sure the number is around the same for daily. And so it's really important to learn how to use this tool to your advantage. If you are in job search, it's something that recruiters and hiring managers already know how to use, and they are using all the time, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Also, it's important that you should know that there are 12 million plus people who have a LinkedIn profile who are now using the hashtag open to work photo frame. So it draws attention to the fact that they are actually looking for an employment opportunity. And 49 million people will use LinkedIn every week to search for jobs. So it is a powerful tool and one that you can, that you need to learn to take advantage of to your benefit. Interestingly enough, though, you'll see here on the slide, the number of total jobs open on LinkedIn is 15 million, if not more. And a fun fact that I found was that there are 77 job applications submitted every second on LinkedIn. 77 job applications every second. And of those, 6 people are hired every minute. So what that says to me is that there's a lot of competition out there on LinkedIn, and you need to find a way to make sure that you stand out. And there's several ways that you can do that, which I will be going over in my presentation today. You'll also see on the slide that the total number of remote job postings in the US on LinkedIn are now averaging over 300,000. And the statistics that I'm using today were last updated June 29th of 2021. So you can only imagine that, if we were to get the statistics as of today, they would be much, much higher. You can find out more information on LinkedIn in general as a company, how they're doing, what countries they're in, what languages they have, and so forth by going to news.linkedin.com. There's a wealth of information there about LinkedIn, tips that you can use to maximize your profile and just use the profile and the service to your best advantage. Okay, so a little bit more stats. I love stats because I think that it really, it tells a story. While a lot of people might want to think that looks don't really matter all that much, especially when you're trying to get a job. A recent survey conducted by Passport Photos Online seems to suggest otherwise. According to the findings that have been discovered, it appears that your physical appearance that you display through your LinkedIn profile can have a huge impact on your overall chances of getting the job that you're applying for. And as you can see, in terms of what do recruiters and hiring managers think about your LinkedIn profile, well, 96% believe it inspires confidence. 95% considers your LinkedIn profile a business card. Gone are the days where we're in-person networking, and hopefully that'll come back soon. But until then, your LinkedIn profile can serve as a virtual business card. And 80% of recruiters and hiring managers think that looking at someone's LinkedIn profile will help them get to know the person better. And as I said before, LinkedIn will help you find a job faster because most hiring managers and recruiters are already using it. And so how are they using it? They're using it to screen people in, but also using it to screen people out. That's why it's very important to pay attention to your LinkedIn profile. And if you're using it, to make sure that you concentrate on the important parts of the profile that hiring managers and recruiters are looking at. Interestingly enough, according to the same company, Passport Photos Online, who did the survey, 70% of hiring managers or recruiters have indicated that they denied offering a job to a candidate based on their profile picture. And 96% said that someone with a professional LinkedIn photo made them feel more confident in the applicant's ability. If you think about it, it's just like when you're in an interview situation. The statistics say that within 5 to 10 seconds, I think it's closer probably to 3, when you meet the person that is interviewing you, they've already made a decision as to whether or not they're going to hire you, what your educational ability is, whether they think you can do the job, whether they think you can fit in the culture, just on the way you look. And so if you don't have a interview with someone that you can show your personality, the only thing that you can use in this virtual world we're living in right now is your LinkedIn profile, and especially your profile picture. So this will go and speak ahead of you. And just like your resume, your profile is there just to get you an interview. It's not going to get you a job, but it will get you an interview. And so I'm hoping that the tips that we go over today will really be able to help you. Another thing that LinkedIn is really good for is for research. And so it's not just a way for recruiters to find you and hiring managers to find you, but you can also use it to do a little bit of research on your own. If you need help researching a company or people or talking points for LinkedIn, I'd be happy to help you. You can just shoot me an email and we can set up some time to do that. But in terms of companies, you can research the company, what's going on in the company, who the hiring managers are, who the decision makers are, what's going on in the company, what news you need to be aware of in terms of a company. If you have done a career plan and you know specifically what company you want to work for, this is a great tool for that. If you are looking to find out how to conduct a career plan, to do the self-reflection that is needed to research a company, on the Tailor for Success YouTube channel, we did a webinar last year on how to conduct a career plan and everything that goes into it. So I urge you to check out that YouTube channel. I'm just going to pause for a second just to see if we have any questions. I will again, I guess for some reason my email address is not showing in the chat. It'll also be at the end of the presentation and on the slides that will be sent to you. So also, in addition to researching companies, you can research people. And specifically what I mean is, if you know that you have an interview coming up and you find out who is going to be interviewing you from the company, you can do a little background research on them. And so you can find out if there's any common interests. You can find out whether or not you and the person that is going to be interviewing you, maybe you went to the same college, so you have the same alma mater, and that is a common interest, and you can talk a little bit about that. There's always a point in an interview when you're asked if you have any questions, or there's that silence that seems to need to be filled by a little conversation. And I want to remind you that an interview is nothing more than a conversation between two people. Well, doing research on LinkedIn will help you come up with some talking points if you need to fill the silence, or if you need to ask questions and things like that. So it's a really powerful tool that can be used in many different ways. Okay, so now that we've done the preliminaries, it's time to focus on what you can use to maximize your chances to get noticed by a recruiter or a hiring manager. In order to get noticed, you need to focus on 7 key sections. There are many sections to a LinkedIn profile, but the top 3 are your profile photo. I think I've said that at least a couple of times this morning, your headline, and your summary. Those are the first 3 things that any hiring manager or recruiter will look at. And so you need to pay particular attention to that. And then comes experience, education, skills, and recommendations. We're going to go through each of these sections so that you get a better idea of what goes into maximizing each of these sections. And when I send the recording to you, there will be a handout that has some additional tips on maximizing your LinkedIn profile, your photo, headline, and summary that you can use. So, you know, if you miss anything that I'm saying during the discussion, you can get it in the handout. So clearly first, your profile photo is the most important part of the real estate of your LinkedIn profile. Don't be like the woman on the left and have a profile photo that is cut off or shows that if you wear glasses that you've got a little glare there in there. It's just a horrible picture. It doesn't really capture the person's personality. But if you look at the other ones on this slide, whether you're a man, woman, young, old, I think you can get the sense of these people's personalities by looking at their photos. And their photos were taken by a professional headshot photographer. There are many professional headshot photographers out there. There are a couple that I work with. And so if you need a recommendation to one, I'd be happy to give you one. But it's really important. I will say, you know, a little caveat is that my first headshot photo was done by JCPenney. I mean, these things can be expensive, and I needed one really quickly. So I went to JCPenney, I got my picture taken and let them know that I needed the pictures for headshots. And I was able for under $50 to get, you know, a couple of different looks by changing the jacket, changing the background that I could use as a headshot. And the headshot I use now was taken by a professional photographer. So if we have time to go to my LinkedIn profile after I go through the information I want to share, you can see that. But it is really, really important. That is the first impression that any recruiter or hiring manager has. It's your photo. So how important is it to optimize your LinkedIn photo? Well, you can see from the slide here that was taken from digitalinformationworld.com that optimizing your LinkedIn profile picture does have maximum impact. 77% impact is enhanced image quality, which you cannot get if you're taking your picture, doing a selfie with your cell phone. It just doesn't come through as crisp as it needs to be. 39% of people who want to maximize their LinkedIn photo, they use and hire a professional photographer. They have a way of working with the lighting, working with colors, working with your poses to maximize how you're coming across in the photo. I want to make sure that it's a business picture. It's not something, that you took at a wedding and then you cropped out the person that was next to you. I see that all the time, and that just is not a professional business picture. It's quite clear that it's a cropped photo and not a professional photo taken by a headshot photographer. And also really very important is the fact that you maintain a charismatic pose, that your personality is coming through from the picture, and that you are sitting or standing up straight and looking engaged when the photo was taken. And if it's something that you're doing with a cell phone or it's a crop photo, it just is not going to come through. But a professional headshot photographer knows how to position you so that all of these things that are mentioned on this slide come through. Okay, so let's talk in a little bit of detail about, again, the most important real estate on your profile. The top two are, the top three are, one is the photo, but then it's also the headline and the summary. When you're looking at your headline, first of all, you want to make sure that you have what they call a vanity URL. And so that would be www.linkedin.com/in for LinkedIn /your name, or however you want to be identified. Maybe if you're a writer, it could be linkedin.com/in/professional writer or freelance writer or something like that. But your name is really the best way to do it. This is what is going to be seen first, your headline. So you want to make sure that it's memorable, and it allows someone who's looking at it with clicking through to understand what position that you're looking for. So using keywords is really important to make sure that they're very strong. You only have 220 characters for this. So you want to make sure that in the keywords you include what your future goals are, what your skills are, and so forth. Turning now to the summary, you want to make sure that you write it in first person using I or me. You want to think of your summary as a mini biography. Some people use their elevator pitch or the 60-second commercial in their summary, which is fine. When you're looking at your summary and you're crafting it, you want to make sure that you use at least 40 words to show up in more search results. So if someone is searching for a project manager or whatever, you want to make sure that those words are in the summary, and especially in the first couple of lines. Those first couple of lines are what is visible when someone is doing research on LinkedIn and just clicking through. That will stand out the most. When you're talking about experience, you want to use very rich keyword descriptions, include any significant work history that you want to highlight. Think of your experience as the body of your profile and your work that serves just like a resume does. This tells a lot about you. You also want to make sure with your experience that you use a mix of hard and soft skills. Don't just rely on the hard skills, your technical skills, or your ability to do a job, but make sure that you include the soft skills, which are your communication skills, your team building skills, how you get along with other people, problem solving, things like that. You want to make sure that that is in there also, because that is what recruiters and hiring managers are going to be looking for. Let's turn now to education skills and recommendations. Education, make sure that you include all the institutions that you've attended. Make sure to include your concentration, your major or your minor. You don't have to put GPA unless, of course, you are a recent graduate, and then you can put that in because that would be very important and very relevant. In terms of skills, you can list a maximum of 50 skills in your profile. You want to at least list at least 5. The 50, you know, that's a little much, but it also depends on the industry you're in if you need to list, you know, a lot of different skills. And people who have a LinkedIn profile that list at least 5 skills are 33 times more likely to be contacted and get 17 more profile views than people who just leave this out and think, okay, well, the skills are listed in with my experience, and so I don't have to do that. You still really have to do that, and it's very important. The other thing that is important about listing your skills is that when recruiters or hiring managers are searching, that's what they're going to search on. So you want to make sure that of the skills that you're listing, that you prioritize and list the top 3 skills first. In terms of recommendations, you know, we could do a whole workshop on getting and receiving recommendations, but suffice it to say that recommendations are often overlooked, but they're valuable. And you can ask people that you worked with in the past to write a recommendation about you. You can ask people that you volunteered with, people who know your character, know your work ethic, anything that relates to the position that you're applying for. Now we can turn to tips to optimize your profile for a job search. I am assuming that most people who are on the call today are in job search or will be at some point. And so I want to make sure that I get these tips out to you. One thing that's not on the slide is I want to make sure that when you're looking at your profile overall, that you make sure that your profile is easy to read. There's a features section also on the profile, and a lot of people don't use this, and it's really important because you can download examples of your work. You can do a video just talking about yourself, giving a virtual elevator pitch, a lot of different things. So don't forget that. Again, it can't be overemphasized how important keywords are for search engine optimization or SEO. Make sure that when you are on LinkedIn that you're joining industry groups and associations, and not that you're just joining them, but you're participating in them, you're liking, you're commenting, you're establishing network conversations. And those conversations are, you know, you see a post from someone in your industry that you think is interesting. Instead of just liking it, maybe in the comments section, you put down, you know, thank you, John, for posting this informative article. I will be able to use it in my job search, or, you know, something like that, that engages the person that posts it and that you can start a conversation with. I can't begin to tell you how many people since the pandemic I have met through networking conversations on LinkedIn who I've never met in person. And we have become really good colleagues by just having these ongoing networking conversations. They're extremely important. Another thing why they're important is because they help you to uncover that hidden job market, the jobs that are not posted, but that are available in a company that you find out through talking to people who work in that company or know of a position in a company. when you're thinking about making connections with people to start these conversations, say you have a new profile, the minimum connections that you want to have are 250. And by 250, that helps you seem to be relevant. That shows people, recruiters, hiring managers, people you're having conversations with, that you're actively using LinkedIn on a regular basis. Some people will not connect with you if they don't think that you're on LinkedIn on a regular basis, because their comments, their posts will not be shared. And so it's not worth their time. So try to get up to 250 connections. And how do you do that? Just start searching for people that you may have worked with in the past, that you may have gone to school with, volunteered with, people in your neighborhood. First person connections are the best. When you get into second and third connections, it gets a little bit more difficult. When you're making a connection, always send a note to them as to why you're making the connections. Some people, myself included, will not make a connection with someone unless I know the reason why, because it's very easy to scroll through and do a search for people in your industry and just hit connect, connect, connect. But if there's not a real reason, it's my feeling that those connections are just not as organically useful as the other ones. So when I have connections, if I need to go back and ask a connection for a recommendation or information, I know that there's a real reason why we connected. And I can also go back and look at the message I sent them or that they sent me and find out why we're connected and use that to help me with the conversation. Again, be active on LinkedIn. Don't just scroll through. Make sure you're posting, you're commenting, you're liking and sharing. If you do nothing but like and share, I mean, that at least shows that you're engaging. Some people are a little bit nervous to post on LinkedIn. It is definitely a business social media platform. And so most of the posts are business related. But if you come across an interesting article that you think other people who are in job search or in your industry might be interested in, you can put a link to that and post it on your LinkedIn page. And it doesn't have to be a post that you're coming up with on yourself. But when you are sharing an article or something like that, just put a few words into why you're sharing it. You know, I came across this article that I think other people might like. It's a quick read, and I encourage you, if you have a few minutes, to take a look at it. So something like that. When you're talking about your profile again, you want to make sure that it matches your resume. I think that's common sense, but you know, when you're looking at different positions in different industries, it might not be. You're going to need to focus and settle on either an all-purpose profile to match your all-purpose resume, or be very, very specific. You'll get more opportunities the more specific you are. So if you're looking for a bookkeeping position, you want to make sure that your resume and your profile on LinkedIn matches as much as possible. So that really sums up my presentation, and I want to thank you for listening to the content today. As of the beginning of 2022, I made a personal goal to keep all of my webinars under 30 minutes, under an hour, so that people don't get bogged down with Zoom fatigue. So it's a really quick webinar, but I think it's full of really rich content that you can use. I want to call your attention to the next workshop that's coming up for Tailored for Success. Again, it will be a 30-minute or less workshop on resume twins for 2022 that you should know about if you're a job seeker. And I urge you to Follow Taylor for Success on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We have groups for job seekers on Facebook and LinkedIn. And you can feel free to join those. They're absolutely free. I put a lot of content in the groups that don't go out to the general public. So, you get that inside information. And again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. My Instagram channel is growing also. You can see the website address for Taylor for Success, taylorforsuccess.org. The phone number to the agency, 781-324-0499. And my email is ehart@tailoredforsuccess.org. We do have a few minutes left. So what I'm going to do now, since I don't see any questions in the chat, but again, feel free to put them in as we go along. I just wanted to sort of walk you through really quickly, since we do have the time, some of the things I talked about in the presentation that are on my profile. So again, I have a professional headshot photo that was done, which is totally different from, a cropped photo. You can tell that the background matches what I'm wearing. The lighting and the coloring, I feel, brings out my personality. Another thing that I don't think I mentioned was it's important to have a banner that speaks to the position you're going for or what you're interested in and so forth. So you can see I have on my banner information about, I'm all about career and strategy and success and so forth. Down here where it says contact information, if you click that, that's where you can update what your LinkedIn profile address is. So you see I have linkedin.com/in/Elizabeth Hart CEO. The website of my company, my phone number, how to get in touch with me, my email, my Twitter, and just in case you want to know, my birthday. I like to put a little personal information in there so people get an idea of who I am. I have 500 plus connections. And again, this 500 plus connections did not happen overnight. It took many, many years for me to build the 500 plus connections, but I'm confident that of those 500 plus connections that I could reach out to any of those people at any time with a question, with ask for a recommendation or to get some information and so forth. So I talked a little bit about the about section. So here's mine. It really, I use every square inch of it. It's basically my bio right now. But what I want to draw your attention to is this featured section that people tend to overlook. And this is where you can put in information, extra information about you, about your work samples and so forth. I've got a newsletter. I've got information about the podcast that I have, and I encourage you all, if you haven't already, to check out the podcast, Success is a Journey by Taylor for Success, where I weekly have coffee breaks and talk about really quick, 5 minutes or less, career topics, but I also have interviews every month with women and men who are doing really amazing things and have made pivots in their lives. So I use this section quite a bit. I do need to update it. It shows how many followers you have, all the activity, and posts that I've done, a little bit about my experience. As you can imagine, most of it is connected to my experience as founder and executive director of Taylor for Success, but it also has some other things, some boards that I've served on, my education, where I went and got my master's in undergrad, some licenses that I have, some skills that I have. I think I actually have 67 on there because I've got some writing skills, some nonprofit skills, some management skills, and so forth. And I've got some endorsements on them and some recommendations that people have been kind enough to give me, and a couple of awards that I have earned. So it tells, I think, a really good snapshot of who I am. If someone is looking to, and I don't know why, but recently I have gotten a bunch of recruiters reaching out to me for executive director positions at other companies. They can look through this, see what I have done, see how skilled I am, what my strengths are, and whether or not I would be a good fit for the job that they are looking to recruit for. And even though my profile does not have the open to work on it, people will still reach out to you. And so speaking of that, this open to right here, this is where you put in if you're open to finding a new job, providing services, or if you're hiring and so forth. So that's where that is. So I'm going to stop sharing now and restart my video, see if there are any questions before we wrap this up. Again, I do give you the opportunity for one-on-one coaching. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can sign up through the website to make an appointment, or shoot me an email if you want to do that. Is there anything that I have not gone over? What I will do at this point, because I know that sometimes people are hesitant to speak for the recording, is I will shut the recording off, but I do want to thank you for being here for this webinar on LinkedIn and how to create a comprehensive profile that will maximize your job search. So again, thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.